Okay, so here's the next video that I talked about. This was kind of my rough drawing of what exactly I was going to have, how everything was going to hook up, and some of the parts list that I put together. So basically what I try to do is start at the tank and then work my way over. So the tank has a quick, I call them a quick connect adapters. I think they're the same thing as a what are those things called? The fuel rail injector connectors, whatever they are. And there's certain sizes. There's two different sizes. I just don't remember off the top of my head what they are. I think one's a 5/16 and the other's quarter or 3/8 or something like that. So, or I'm sorry. Okay, so that's on the tank, and then so you need the quick connect female adapter here, and so they make that little part that goes to a male barb, hose barb, and that's 3/8, and then rubber hose up over here to another hose barb into a 1/2 inch pipe thread, and then I had an on-off valve, and I actually tweaked this a little bit since actually drawing it up. So on-off valve, that way I can shut it, replace the filters, you know, and not have fuel go everywhere. So then it goes into the pre-filter, which is on the suction side, you know, more connectors, and then into the horizontal fuel conditioning module pump, the whole thing, whatever that little device is that we looked at on the frame rail, and then again the quick connect little adapter is what you need here on both sides of that. So coming out of that, you're on the pressure side, go back through hoses into the post pump filter, and then actually, let's see, before that, so the tweak I made was right in here where this rubber is, this rubber hose. I put another valve because, or nope, that's not right. So after this, I put in another valve in here. So from the filter, before it hits this little Y block, I put another filter because this is where it actually goes up towards the heads. And so if you don't have a valve here, and you know, take the filter out, all that fuel that's in the lines is going to come running down because, you know, gravity is going to pull it down. So put another one there. I don't think that I actually needed this one, but I did anyways. So I've got two on it now. So after the filter is this Y block that I kind of showed that sits on top of the transmission, and then it goes into each side of the head in the back, which is the engine. Out of there, it comes out to some the AN fittings into a regulator, which is where we, you know, obviously control the pressure and then send it back out. This is the return, and then it goes back to the tank. So that's pretty much the overview of how it is. I need to crawl under there and get a video to show you how it's all hooked up now, because that's all done. So that's the setup of this. So let's go take a look at the truck. Alright, so here's we're going to do a tour real quick of the underside of the truck here. Again, I'm already done with all the install and everything, so this is just kind of a recap of what I got. So we just looked at the diagram, and now we're under the truck, and unfortunately, let's see, I don't know if we're gonna be able to see. Oh, you know what, it's on the other side. Oops, over there. Yeah, well, we'll look in a minute. So anyway, here's the filters, and I create a little bracket for them that they mount to the frame, and you can see back here, I don't know if I have a way to show the mounts or not. See if that can see it. Maybe. Yeah, there it is. Focus. Anyway, so it's just a piece of angle that I had laying around. It's way heavy duty, but you know, it gets the job done. So here we have the pre and the post filter, and this one here, the red one, is the pre-filter. So the way that it works is it comes in from the fuel tank. Let's see, how does this come in? Comes in from the fuel tank into this, Yeah, you can see the way that the hose kind of runs back there, and then it goes up through the on-off valve, so I can turn it off and not have to worry about fuel spilling everywhere. And then it goes into the filter, and then out of that it goes into the fuel pump, which is up there. I'll show you in a sec. Out of the fuel pump into the post filter, and then that's the line coming in here in the front, and then after that it goes to the valve and then up to on top of the transmission up there onto the head, to the back of the head. So let's slide over here, see if we can take a look at this thing. I don't know if we'll be able to see it or not. Oh yeah, we will. Okay, so here we're looking directly up underneath at the fuel pump, or the horizontal fuel conditioning module, whatever they call it. So you can see the line there with that clamp, if this thing is focusing correctly. That's one of the ones I replaced. I don't remember if that's the inlet or that one is right there, you know, something. But anyways, essentially that's what we've got. So it runs through that, and then up to you know, the filters, and then up to the head. So let's go take a look at the top section here. Alright, so now we're back on top of the truck here, and what we're looking at is the regulator for the regulated return, and it sits over here kind of on the passenger side. You know, it's actually, I just had a little piece of angle from you know, like garage door brackets or whatever that I had left over, and I used that to mount it up. So there we go. So that's kind of what it looks like. So essentially what happens, it's very simple. The we can't see it because it's a little dark, but that hose right there on this right side of this thing comes down from the if we can see, it comes down from the head, right out of the head in the front up to the regulator. Same thing with this one. This comes from the driver's side head, and then the one at the bottom that comes out of the bottom of the regulator is the return. So the way it works is it comes from the fuel pump through that post filter in the back, and then up the back of the transmission to that little Y block that I was talking about, and then into each of the heads in the back of the heads. And I'll see if I can show a picture of it. And from there, then it travels through the head and then out these hoses that we just looked at, and then this is where the pressure gets regulated down to 40, which is what's recommended from everywhere that I could find when I was reading about this. And then it goes back to the tank, and I used the standard return line that was already there to go all the way back. That way I had to mess with it. So that worked out fine. It was just challenging trying to find all the pieces, the right size, fittings and everything. And I think, like I said before, the little quick disconnect fittings that I found were for like the EFI or fuel injection snap quick connect type thing. And then you just got to get the right size, and there's two different sizes, like I think I previously just talked about. So that's pretty much it on the regulated return, and the other one comes down from this side, but I don't think we're going to be able to see any of that down in there. It's back in there somewhere. It's too dark, so we probably can't see it. But the only other thing I did when I was working on this was I replaced this thing right here that you can see with little custom built deal here, because the factory one that's got that's plastic, where the top hose right here, and then that bottom one that goes down, I think that goes to the water pump, it's all one piece, and it's a hard plastic right where that you see that brass T. So what happens is after a while it gets hot and brittle and cracks if you try to move it, and I just snapped mine right in half, so I had to create a new one. Fix a new one here. It's stainless steel little fittings on the end here and at the bottom, and then aluminum right here for the 45, because I wanted to just kind of follow the factory. Man, I don't know if we can see that or not because it's kind of dim, but anyway, that's what that looks like. So that's pretty much it on the regulated return. Obviously we've got everything back together and everything is working. So if you have any questions, let me know on that. It's really simple. I would definitely recommend it. It's kind of expensive. I think you can get a kit for like $500 or something, and I think I spent around $350 or so. But I bought all kinds of tools and stuff. I had to have something to cut the stainless steel hose, because that stuff right there is you can cut it with standard tools, but then it pinches it oblong. So I bought some hose cutters, you know, and then you got to have the crimp tool or the little you don't have to, but if you have the little adapters for like a vise, it makes it a whole heck of a lot easier to make them. And so, you know, I bought some of that stuff. So all in all, I think it cost me around maybe $400 with all that stuff. And I'm trying to think of what else. Seemed like there was something else that was kind of expensive in there. Oh, and I bought a test kit as well, which is cool. Let me see. Actually, let's take a trip back here through the mess. See if I can squeeze by. And all right, let's see if I got that stuff handy. I do. So here was the little test kit, which was awesome. So this is the AN fitting test, because I had never crimped AN hoses before. So what this does is, after you make your hose, you put this piece on one end, which is just a block off plate essentially, and then you put this piece on the other, and it hooks up to your air compressor. So what I did is did that, put 100 or so PSI into it, obviously listened for leaks, and then I had a bucket of water that I would dip them in to see if I saw any bubbles. A couple times I saw bubbles on the first one, actually, and I realized I hadn't, you know, tightened it down quite hard enough. So simply learned from that, tightened them down a little bit snugger, repressurized it, dunked it, no bubbles, and no leaks right now on my system that I can tell. So that worked out great. Let's see, where are those little adapters? Oh, and here's the little adapters I was talking about for your vise. So they've got the little, there we go. They've got the little things there that you can put different sizes of AN. This is specifically made for AN fittings. They got 2 magnets in here, and that just clamps down in your vise, and then you basically, you know, can use that without messing up the fitting. I mean, I didn't scratch a single one of those things, so that, you know, that worked out awesome. So, you know, outside of buying stuff like that, I mean, you could probably get away with all the parts and stuff. I mean, the regulator was obviously the most expensive. Working on a fence right now, that's why I got concrete in the back. The regulator was the most expensive piece. So outside of that, the hoses and stuff aren't too bad. You know, if you go with all the pretty fittings and everything like this, then you know, it gets a little pricey, but all in all, it's not too bad. So any questions, again, let me know. Otherwise, we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.